Secretary of State's office is warning Nevadans about a rise in cryptocurrency scams at Bitcoin ATMs. Secretary Francisco Aguilar says fraudsters are taking advantage of these machines' anonymity and speed, tricking people into sending money or crypto with promises of quick, low-risk returns. These machines don't limit deposits, verify identities, or offer fraud protections, making it nearly impossible to recover lost funds. Aguilar urges anyone being rushed to use an ATM to slow down, double-check investment opportunities with legitimate professionals, and confirm urgent requests from family or friends. If you suspect investment fraud, the Secretary of State's office encourages you to report it immediately. And to file a report or to learn more information, visit our website, fox5vegas.com.